Hello, happy people. So today I'd like to look at some effects that smoking has on the use of art and also how we think and how we speak. So I have this rule that I just got from experience, and that's I don't speak to smokers while they're smoking plus 20 minutes. And this is again from experience because I've seen that the way I connect to people on a deeper level, it just can't be done while uh, people are full of, in this instance, nicotine and whatever else is in cigarettes, commercial cigarettes. I'll give you one example. It's it's a bit of drawing that I made. So I consider this is one way in which cigarettes work. So if this is the I guess the gut, the deeper feelings, the subconscious stuff, anatomically it might be the reptilian brain. Anyway, you have the emotions, the feelings, you have the feelings of deeper maybe sexual attraction or repulsion, and when they're connected, you can deal with a human as a whole. So they might be sad or happy or whatever, but they will have strong emotions, and you can deal with them as a whole, with this whole column of their whole being from up to down. When people smoke or drink alcohol, it's like they put in a sort of a nicotine blanket about here, and so they can fake it like they're happy for a while the nicotine is in effect, because they're zoning out on their own emotions, their own feelings. Now the thing is, while two people do this, let's explain this a bit, at the same time. So if you have two of these guys, with it, so if you have both these guys, they're both zoned out, they can have a sort of conversation. Let's flip this around maybe. Okay, so they're facing each other and they can have a sort of a conversation, but there's like this nicotine blanket between them, and goes kind of like this. Well, if it goes, that is, of course. Come on with it. Let's say it's like this. So all the messages happen just above the blanket, just here. They're talking here. They're talking head to head. Okay, they're not talking heart to heart or other aspects of them. This is greatly diminished. The whole conversation sticks to this particular range here. It's very shallow, and I've heard this in conversation. It's the like if you have the same person, they speak a certain way, they have a certain verbal range, some vocabulary words that they use, and it happens one way before they're smoking, and another way after. So this just cuts the whole thing. The smoking just cuts the whole connection to these areas, which are more emotional, positive or negative, doesn't matter. One effect that I use or one technique that I use to great effect is to face people with art. I just show them visuals, so imagery, color, stuff like that, and ask them what they see. And invariably, if you have a person like this that's connected, they will have a different response. They'll have like a full body, full impact response to the art, and they'll answer, like they'll hone in on the areas of the painting which maybe express tension that resonates with their tension. So they'll have, even from abstract art, they'll see, like, I see a fish there and it's clawing, it's swimming, it's restless, whatever. They will feel emotion in visual data that's coming their way. And these guys here, they will just see the data, like they'll see the objects. Maybe there's a cage, a fish, a window, water, whatever, but they will not feel the drama underneath. Or they will feel just a shallow, very, very much partial proportion of it compared to themselves in their unsmoked state. So this is important to understand, that I'm not comparing one person to another. I'm comparing this guy in his or her smoked state compared to themselves in an unsmoked state. And you can see, and this effect actually lasts for about 20 minutes. Now, what I'd like to bring into discussion is, like, I've had yesterday quite an interesting meeting, and I was talking to this girl that was very anti-cannabis, anti-weed. She left her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend or whatever because he was smoking weed and she couldn't handle it. Now, the young man was also smoking cigarettes, and he probably was a bit of a pothead, using weed to escape his life as opposed to enrich it. So I can see why a girl would not want to be around an emotionally numb pothead bum that just lays there and watches TV while stoned. I agree with that, and I certainly can relate to that. The interesting thing is that she was a smoker herself, and well, we connected because I met her quite some time after a smoke, and we connected for some hours, good 2 hours maybe, and the connection was fine. It was flowing fine. We could understand each other. And I told her my rule, like, I don't speak to smokers for 20 minutes during and after their smoke because I can't. It's just they're not there. They're just a shallow head zoned out. It's useless. I would have to start working in the same way to be able to maintain conversation to them. Since I don't want to do that, I don't bother. I just go away, maybe come back later. I told her that, so I showed her my sketchbook, sketchbooks actually, two of them, and with a lot of art, like you see in this channel. It's a lot of imagery, and I showed her, and we could really talk about the art. Like, I could show her my drawings, and I could see that she's digging into the meanings. And the way I know this, the way I can really measure this really accurately, is if somebody looks at my art and points out things that I haven't seen myself. If they point out like a complex story or drama that's happening in the in the art, that's very different from what I intended. That's how I know that they've used this area of themselves. And I've seen that basically smokers, while they're smoked or slightly after, they can't do that. They will see just mere objects. They'll see just the obvious stuff. There's not any weird imaginative story, creative stuff behind it. And this has no impact on them being creative or not. This is the same. There's this fluctuation of creativity going down after smoking cigarettes. Now, I told her my magic is incompatible with smoking cigarettes. So the more she does that, the more likely we are to fall apart. And whoa, she said she understood. I told her about this impact that smoking has on creating art, on being able to express internal tension by art. And I showed her some of my maybe angry drawings. I mean, they're there in any sketchbook that I have. Stuff like let's see. Stuff like this. Stuff like this. Not necessarily angry, but you can feel it's not really your family gathering kind of thing. Stuff like this. When I want to make something colorful, but then this shows up, right? The subconscious will express itself. And various others, like I have this. See, it's not positive or anything, but it has emotion. You can feel it's like just it's intense. So she's seen some of that, and I said, don't be going home and smoking and then drawing. It's gonna maybe work, but not really. So I've asked her if she can, as a favor, just not smoke that evening, smoke tomorrow, smoke whenever, but not that evening, because she has a lot of stuff to process from her whole breakup and crying and things. And with crying and art you express, whereas with smoking you suppress, and this thing can't get out. My observation is that we have things here, and I localize it in the abdomen and chest, and if we cry, this thing goes out, and then it's like the sun rising here in this belly chest area. So we have a limited amount of hurt and pain, and then if we express that, it's gone. It's like a limited amount of dust in the house, and if you just clean it, then the house is clean, and you have a full clean house at your disposal. If you suppress, your house is never clean. You have this much maybe clean space. You're not going to get this here, but it's very little clean space. But it's shallow. You can't do much work with this one. So we got into this thing where I said, hey, and by the way, she knows how to draw. She's studying to be an architect, so she does know art. It's not a creativity or drawing problem. It's not an art block kind of problem. I said, go home and draw if you feel like expressing, if you feel like crying. Just put the stuff in art, not in smoking and then art. So what she decided to do is to go home, smoke, and then make a drawing right after smoking. And this is what I'd like to show. Second. Okay. Here we are. Okay. This is the drawing. Not sure how visible this is. This is a knife here. You can see it has a handle. So, and some text, which is very typical of what I've seen smokers do. Verbalizing as opposed to expressing in other ways. So, let's say somebody that's angry at you, they may hit you, physically strike you, at least in play, or do something with you with the hands. Whereas if they're smoking at the time, they'll just say something, and in that dull, boring smoker will say, hey, don't do that. Hey, that's robotic thing. So this is the drawing that she made. Now, to my mind, this seems rather dull emotionally. There's nothing there. I don't see any pain or anything. It's somebody that's zoned out like this. See this here? Zoned out. So it may say in text, fuck this shit, I miss you, I love you, whatever, I want to see these things, whatever this means. But the real emotion, I for one don't feel it. And I did this test where I showed this drawing to other friends that I may do image analysis with, and they said the same thing. This is rather numb. And I compared it to other drawings from other clients, actually, not from myself, because I figured, hey, let's pick drawings that aren't made by me and at a certain art skill level. Let's pick drawings made by clients, like this one. Okay, this one is a drawing made by a client that I just said draw water. So as you can see, there's a tension here. There's things happening. The way I saw it is this is like a girl, and she's running, and Neptune is following, and this is like it's kind of, it looks like a penis to some extent. You see, this is a shaft and this is some balls right here. So it's kind of like a scary Neptune that's well, scary bit of Neptune that's chasing this poor girl, and she's scared because he looks scary with his fork, his trident, and his big cock, right? Just that's one meaning. Another one would be that he's actually king and he doesn't need to chase. He has over there in the right side of the image, he would have a whole kingdom of the sea. It doesn't need to chase this one wave. He has all the waves. He's king of all the waves, right? So you see that although this drawing is simple, it has a lot of emotion and a lot of potential to be read in a multitude of symbolic ways. Okay, there's definitely a sense there. You can feel the it was a girl that made it, the girl's tension there. You can sort of relate to her state here, her emotional state at the time of drawing. That's what I mean. And even though it's simple, you can feel it. Let me show you another. La 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 la. Where are you? This one. This one is again a simple drawing. I think I might have shown it before in another video, but it's, again, you can feel the emotion in this face. This is about a business thing, like somebody that wanted to work in search engine optimization business. You have here a girl on a beach. The world is your oyster. The internet is yours, full of money and things. But this whole thing is at a distance, and so this girl has this creepy, tense look. I want this, and you can feel the craving, right? You can feel the emotion. It's really in there. You can. There's no way to, in my opinion, be too bored with this drawing because it expresses strong emotion. So again, these are two drawings made by two people who weren't smoking at the time, who were letting their emotion like this come up and be expressed, to get from here and put all the red stuff, all the anger and frustration and whatever, to be put on paper. It goes like this. Well, if you go with the nicotine first, this thing can't come out. At best, it will come like as a shadow of its former self. It will trickle down a few drops, where while you're like this, you will draw it by the bucket and by the shovel and then by the stadium full of anger and frustration. So this is what, in my opinion, smoking cigarettes does. It suppresses with this nicotine blanket, and this is affected, and it becomes very visible in what you are capable of saying about art. And you can absolutely test this as a smoker. Record yourself and compare. Just watch 3 paintings at 1 hour or more after your smoke, and smoke some cigarettes, and then watch 3 other paintings and see what you can come up with. Have somebody else choose the paintings so that they're at your first glance, it's like surprise. And just record, and you will see that a smoke person just goes, there's a lot of breaks and pauses, like the emotion doesn't come through. It just gets up and fills this block. Whereas if you find, if you're not smoked like this, if you don't have the nicotine blanket, emotion will come right away. You see something and you either love it or hate it. It's like, bam, I love the left side, I hate the right side. It's just, the connection is there, sharp and clean. Maybe another one, again from a bit of a client. She drew this one. This is a drawing, and you can see it's kind of, so emotionally to me this seems rather shy. It's kind of happy outside, but it doesn't look quite convincing to me. And then I said, draw what's under the ground, and then she drew this. And here you can again feel the emotion really properly here. See what I'm saying? This is, by the way, here is a cage in this area. or it's the fact that you see this is a tree and all the outside and the sun, and she's trapped in this cave, right? So um, so all the bats, all the stuff, but there's generally no way to miss the emotion, right? There's no way to misinterpret this. What's it like to be like a young small girl in a cave with monsters and bats and this huge thing here and centipedes and cockroaches and whatever. Like, you can't really not react to this, right? You'll feel it right away. What's it like to be trapped in a dark place with all the nice things outside and the sun being withheld from you by bars, by prison bars? Okay, this is like really raw emotion here. You can make a movie with this thing. You can make whatever. You can spend a good half hour or 1 hour interpreting this one, seeing all the things here. Well, I'm saying that this thing is absolutely the pretty much polar opposite of what we see here after the smoking, which is just, okay, girl, knife, fuck this shit, I miss you, I love you. Like, yeah, we get a sense of sadness, but there's no real. I mean, I don't see any blood, any hearts, anything too impressive flowing out of there. Now, she's shown me some other drawings of hers. Hold on. And I suspect at least some of these would have been made at more distance from a cigarette smoke, from a smoke. This is one of them. So same girl that made the fuck you whatever drawing made this one. I would say this is at least somewhat more expressive. Though you can still see it's very much it's still withheld. Things are held back. Like, had I worked with her for a little bit, I mean, get this drawing and then be able to ask a few questions, focus on this one, focus on that one, and draw again, I'm sure we would have seen more emotion coming out. The lack of emotion here in most of the faces, it's, you can see that there's some emotion there, but it's quite contained, emotionless. You see all this, there's this focus on getting the material right, the sizes and proportions right, but no real sense of the emotions behind. Like, it's not that expressive. And I think, again, cigarettes do this. Okay, this has been my observation so far. Give me your thoughts, comment on this, give me some feedback, and enjoy.